What's good, everybody? Welcome in to Early Edge Live as we count down every single early game. There are 7 of them. 4 at 4 o'clock, and, of course, Sunday Night Football tonight, the Packers and the Bills. And after the day we had yesterday, really the entire betting community had, Chip told you it was going to be a trap week. And, my goodness, some of those scores from yesterday. But that's college football. We're worried today about the NFL. And on Sundays, Week 8, I bring in my heavy hitters. Let's bring in the stars of the show. We have no time to waste. First and foremost, he is our OG. He is everything that is right about the NFL. The Maestro. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to Week 8.
Well, everything that is wrong about the NFL is me backing the Jaguars again and watching, Trevor Lawrence throw a pick from first and goal at the 1-yard line, watching Marvin Jones drop a ball through his hands that hit him in the helmet. This will be my last time on the Jaguars if they don't pull this out.
It is so hard to watch him play quarterback and make all those mistakes today, especially after being up 10-0. And now the Broncos have scored 14 straight. We'll keep you updated as the show continues here throughout the hour. Now, next, he is the most handsome man in all of the Early Edge universe. And if you caught his extra prop, like many of you did, that adds to all of ours from the prop show on Friday. See you, Najat. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, when Trevor Lawrence came out, I actually referred to him as Blaine Gabbert 2.0, and I was only like 80% kidding. So we'll see how this pans out for him. I think he'll be fine, but yeah, I don't think he's the generational guy that people thought he was when they first saw him at Clemson win a championship. That's just my take there. I'm very excited about this slate. We got a lot of games, we got a lot of props, maybe a few DFS nuggets in there as well. Happy to be on the show.
All right, we are always happy to have you. All right, Russell Wilson misses a bomb to 2 wide open guys, so the Jags dodge a bullet for now. All right, and finally, he is our prop. Oh, he is such a prop god. We call him prop stars, though. Alex, good afternoon, sir.
Coach, how you doing? Cousin Sia, Larry, good to see you. I'm excited. I'm amped up. It's Week 8. This is almost the halfway point of the season. I'm ready to get down to business.
All right, let's get to it. Game number 1. We break all the games down. As I said, there are 7 at 1 o'clock today. Panthers and the Falcons. Here's where we stand as a show. Actually, all the plays are by our 2 cappers, Sia and Larry. So this currently the number stands at 4, total at 41.5. Maestro, let us start with you. What do you like in this game?
I love the Panthers at +6 early in the week. Still lean towards them at +4. I just think P.J. Walker's not given enough credit. They love this guy. They're rallying around this guy. And I love 2 props in this game, too. And it should be a great matchup. When you miss A.J. Terrell, you miss your starting secondary. Jalen Hawkins, the safety, had 11 tackles. He's out for the Falcons. This is a dream matchup for the Panthers offense. DJ Moore over on his receiving yards. Dante Foreman over on his rushing yards. Talked about it this morning on the Early Edge. Whenever Foreman has gotten the carries, he has delivered. It happened with the Titans. It happened last week against the Bucs. So I'm big on the Panthers today.
All right. They looked really, really good. P.J. Walker and his GM said, hey, we plan on winning. And they're very much alive in the divisional race halfway through the season. Now, yep, Alex, I'll get to you. Let me have Sia just for a second, and then we'll get to you. Sia, what's your best bet in this game?
Yeah, first of all, a little bit of Rodney Dangerfield going on with Deontay Foreman. He just doesn't get the respect he deserves, to Maestro's credit here. And obviously that's partly because of an early injury in his career. But I absolutely love Deontay Foreman today, both from the DFS and a prop standpoint. So I'm with Larry on that one. I have DJ Moore over 5.5 catches. This is plus money. It was plus 105 when I gave it on Friday. It's plus 100 now. Listen, I think you could take his yardage prop. I like his yardage prop, especially when you look at PJ Walker and the amount of passing yards he's allotted for per Vegas, which is around the 180 mark. So I do think, obviously, DJ Moore is going to be the primary target with so many targets gone from this offense. Last week, he had a 48% target share, or maybe it was actually 47%, which for those of you that don't know is an insane target share. I think he's going to be very highly targeted as well. I chose to go with his reception prop as opposed to his yardage prop. I think you could go either way on that, but I went ahead with the plus money. 5.5 is a big number, but for DJ Moore, I don't think it's a big number in this particular game.
I don't either. Lori in the chat says my favorite hour of the week is now, and my favorite prop better is Alex. Alex, what do you got?
Just wanted to touch on Dante Foreman really quickly. I like him a lot today as well. My favorite prop, however, or way to attack him is his anytime touchdown prop. You can get that at plus 120 on DraftKings. I think that's terrific value considering he's going to get the bulk, pretty much every carry in this Panthers backfield. And I just think that is a great price. I rarely pay attention or rarely put much focus on anytime touchdowns, but in my opinion, this is very mispriced. You should be around minus 110 to minus 130 at plus 120. I think it's a really good value.
That's really good value. Sneaky play right there as well. By the way, the Falcons have only not covered the number one time this year so far. Yes, Maestro.
It's also the first time the Falcons have been favored all year.
Interesting. All right, the Jags are down to the 1. What could go wrong? 5 minutes to play. First and goal at the 1 for the Jacksonville Jaguars and Maestro's first best bet of the day. All right, game number 2. And as a brand, we have nothing on this game because it's very, very scary. What are the Bears going to look like today? They looked fantastic against the Patriots on Monday night. Justin Fields looked every bit the part. But they're traveling to Dallas to take on that vaunted Cowboys defense. The number is 10, total 42.5. Maestro, all right, they stop him on first down. I'll let Maestro sweat this, and let me come to you, Alex, from a prop perspective. Is there anything in this game that you're targeting that you like? Because we don't have anything as a brand.
Interested to see the Tony Pollard show. No Ezekiel Elliott today. Tony Pollard is going to get pretty much all of the running down.
Let's go!
All of the work from Dallas backfield. I think a lot of Dallas fans or Tony Pollard fans or just football fans in general have been clamoring for this guy to get the football. So I'm excited to see him get the lion's share of the carries. He has, however, very big numbers. If you look at his rushing prop, it's 77.5 yards. The Bears being one of the biggest run funnels in the NFL. I don't think there's a lot of value there. But yeah, I'm curious to see if Pollard has a huge day. What happens when Ezekiel Elliott does come back, because we've seen Pollard be a lot more explosive this season. If you look at his metrics, he's performing a lot better. I'm curious if you're going to see him become the 1A and Zeke become the 1B. This is sort of his audition, in my opinion, to see if he can become that feature back for Dallas.
Maestro, what happened in the Jags game, please?
Travis Etienne, this guy is so good. I mean, he powered it in. There was not a lot of room. This Denver defense at the goal line, I mean, there was not a lot of room, but he got it in there, making up for that fumble last week when he was going down to score against the Giants. And this kid is so explosive. I mean, the potential is there for this offense. But now we'll see if the defense can hold Russell Wilson, who did have a 98-yard touchdown drive to start the third quarter.
Yeah, that went like that. By the way, shout out to Kip Pulliam in Wichita, Kansas. You guys notice the new Early Edge hat today? Showed up on my front doorstep. I got 3 or 4 different kinds. We may do a limited run, but Kip Pulliam, Wichita, my buddy from a long time ago, his company made these. Thank you very, very much. All right, we'll keep you up to date on that Jacksonville game. But see, let me come to you, because Dallas last week, it was a very workmanlike cover against Detroit because of 5 second-half turnovers. They can't rely on that today. But how worried should they be laying 10 against a Bears team that looked very competent against the Pats?
Yeah, I don't think they should be very worried, to be honest with you. I think Dak is going to start to progress and look a little bit like the old Dak. But the good news for the Bears, they don't need the old Dak. Remember the Dak that we saw a couple of years ago where they were scoring like 30 points because their defense was terrible and they just had to put their foot on the pedal? This isn't that Cowboys team, and that defense and that pressure on Justin Fields. Yeah, that'll allow Justin Fields to scramble a bit here and there, but I think it's a bad matchup for Justin Fields. I think I like what we saw from Justin Fields. Coach, you remember, I had a prop on Justin Fields last week in terms of his passing yardage. He might collect some passing yardage, maybe some rushing yardage too, but I think he's going to have some bad plays as well, and that's going to be forced by that Dallas Cowboys defense. I actually think the Cowboys are going to cover this line.
Did you guys just hear what he just did right there?
That was so savage.
That was so savage right there. So savage. Yeah. Sia won a showdown with me, the over to the under, and it cashed like 14 minutes ago in the third quarter. Maybe. All right. Moving on to game. That was savage. All right. Game number 3. And this one, we're all over this game as a brand. In fact, all 3 of you have a play in this game. Dolphins laying 3.5. The total sitting at 52. RJ White was on the Dolphins when it was at 3. You can, of course, buy it down. M Squared also on the Dolphins when it was at 3. He's also on Tyreek Hill over 87.5 receiving yards. So, see, I'm going to come right to you because you are also on this same prop. Why?
Yeah, Tyreek Hill over 86.5 receiving yards. In some places, it's moved up a yard or two. But listen, this is a terrible Detroit defense. And for the record, I think Detroit's going to be very competitive in this game, particularly because they're getting some healthy pieces back. Amon-Ra St. Brown, DeAndre Swift, and frankly, that Miami secondary just doesn't have it right now with all their injuries. But by the same token, the Detroit defense doesn't have it either. And you got to cover Tyreek Hill, who has been so explosive this season, who is being schemed in space. He's just the best guy on the field. That's really what it comes down to. I don't think 86.5 is going to be a bridge too far for Tyreek Hill. I think him and Jalen Waddle and this entire offense, including Raheem Mostert, who I'm playing in DFS. I'm playing Tyreek Hill. I'm playing a little bit of Jalen Waddle. I like them all. The Lions blitz a lot, and they play a lot of man coverage. That's even better for Tyreek Hill. Look for him to get loosed on at least one catch that extends over 40 yards, and I think he's going to collect enough catches to easily breeze by this 86.5.
Speaking of getting loose, how about KJ Hamler, 50-yard bomb from Russell Wilson on the first play? They're already deep into Jacksonville territory. Now, real quick, over 6.5. We cashed it last week with Tyreek Hill. See ya. It's juiced, though, to -164. Quickly, your thoughts.
What? Over 6.5 what?
Catches.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I'm sorry. Yeah, so that was juiced to like -150 on Friday. I think that's fine, but I wouldn't pay that juice is the thing. I mean, if I'm getting -130 there, I'm more comfortable with it, but anything beyond that, not comfortable with it.
All right, very good. Now on the other side, it's a two-headed monster in Miami. And Alex, you think on the other side that the number might be a little bit too low for Mr. Waddle, yes?
Absolutely. This guy does not get enough credit. Jalen Waddle, over 65.5 receiving yards. We're going back to the well. If you recall, we took him last week. We've been riding him a lot this season. This guy has been absolutely phenomenal, particularly when Tua is playing quarterback as well. He's eclipsed this line in all 4 games that Tua has started and completed. He's averaging 107 receiving yards per game with Tua at quarterback. He is doing so on elite efficiency as well. He's only eclipsed 6 targets one time over that 4-game sample. To average 107 yards on less than 6 targets is just incredible efficiency. To me, he's due for an uptick in targets considering his level of production. If you look at all of his metrics, he is off the charts elite. 2.69 yards per route run. He ranks in the top 5 in essentially every notable receiving metric: yards per reception, yards before catch, air yards, yards after contact per reception. He has the most 30-plus yard receptions in the NFL this season. This guy is phenomenal. He's being overshadowed by Tyreek Hill, who is equally as phenomenal, having just an absolutely outstanding season. Jalen Waddle is not far behind, and the difference is you get nearly a 20-yard discount on his receiving prop. Plus, the targets are extremely condensed. They throw to Tyreek Hill and they throw to Jalen Waddle. Sia mentioned this is just an absolutely outstanding matchup. The Lions are 32nd in EPA per dropback, 32nd in coverage grade. Does not get better as far as matchups go in this game, especially if Detroit is able to push Miami into a potential shootout. These guys could both eclipse 150 yards. Wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. The fact that you can get Jalen Waddle at 65 yards is such a bargain, in my opinion. Checks every single box. This looks like a potential spike week for Waddle. Love this prop so much.
Oh, we love both Waddle. We love Hill. By the way, 2-minute warning. Russell Wilson rushed for a first down, so they're inside the 15. 2 minutes to go, down 3. It's a sweat of all sweats. Now, Larry, we have the 2 props for the wide receivers, but somebody's got to throw something to them, and this Lions back defensive secondary is a sieve, which will lead to what with Tua?
Well, Alex touched on how bad they are, but they play man coverage at the 2nd highest rate in the league, and Tua is much, much better against man coverage, over 1.5 pass TDs. I said this morning I'd played up to 155, 160 at the absolute top, but you're seeing it even higher on some books. This was at FanDuel. I mean, it's going to be a shootout. He's going to have a lot of passing success to Waddle and Hill. Let's go over 1.5.
All right, very, very good. Real quick, St. Brown is over 64.5. Alex, go.
I'd lean over on there. Again, this game looks like a potential shootout, but I think both teams are definitely going to be able to move the ball. So I'd lean over on St. Brown for sure. Just wanted to touch on DeAndre Swift returning to the lineup for Detroit in this game. He appears to be 100%. I think the Lions were extremely careful, making sure. I think he probably could have played last week. He was practicing on a limited basis, but they wanted to ensure he was 100%. DeAndre Swift is one of the more talented running backs in the NFL. You can get his rushing prop drop at 48.5 yards. You can get his longest rush at 14.5 yards. I've personally played both of those spots, and if he stays healthy, he's going to smash both of those numbers. So something to pay attention for this week. Love DeAndre Swift as well.
Smash. He's going to smash that number, Alex says. He say smash? Smash it right now before it goes up, because in the chat, one of those is already 72.5. I believe Waddle has just been shooting up since Alex gave it out just a few minutes ago. All right, game number 4 at 1 o'clock today, and this is a big one for both teams. The Vikings coming off a bye. They're laying 4. The Cardinals, well, they laid it on the Saints, but they got 2 pick sixes, which made that 42 look a little bit better than what it was, the total of 48.5. As a brand, 2 of our best are on the same side, RJ and Maestro. Maestro, who do you like?
I like Minnesota. I don't like it at 4 as much as 3.5, and I don't love it as much as I did early in the week. But, the Vikings with 2 weeks to prepare should be able to do well against this defense, which gave up, about 500 yards to Andy Dalton, 7 yards per play. I know DeAndre Hopkins is back. He should have a massive game. Kyler's a much better quarterback with Hopkins. They're better on the road, et cetera, et cetera. I just think this is a spot where Kevin O'Connell, 2 weeks to prepare, should have the Vikings ready to roll, and win by a touchdown.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, some people don't mind the money line. It's been around minus 190. The Vikings have not lost at home. They're healthy. Arizona is not. Normally, I don't like juice that high, but the money line, see it. I don't think that's a bad play, even at the high juice.
Yeah, I don't think I would do it at the juice. And the only reason is I really don't know what to expect from this Arizona team now that D-Hop is back. I know Marquise Brown is hurt, but, Minnesota's in a good spot coming off a bye. But I've been on Kyler Murray's case for this entire season. But I do have to admit, last week he did seem to turn a corner with his favorite receiver back. So, if that money line was like, minus 135, I'd be all about it. But minus 190, I think Arizona is a bit of an unknown here. So I'm just kind of staying away from it.
Anything props-wise, I think Justin Jefferson, Alex, has been kind of priced out of the market. They always put his number around 6.5, never up to 7. And then his yardage is pretty high, too. Do you see anything on the Viking side today that you like?
2 things I wanted to touch on really quickly is what's very interesting about this Cardinals pass defense is they rank near the bottom in DVOA in pass defense. They're one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. However, they're the number 1 pass defense against opposing number 1 wide receivers. I don't think I've ever seen something like that. Normally the 2 are correlated, something to pay attention to. I still think Justin Jefferson is going to get off on this defense, and it does not matter. I think those stats may be skewed a bit just based on matchups. But one thing I did want to point out is Zach Ertz. I actually like him a lot in this spot against the Vikings. They are the worst team at covering tight ends, according to DVOA. Zach Ertz, you're getting a discount on his receiving line. I believe it was 36 on FanDuel. He had been in the mid-40s all season. We saw last week when DeAndre Hopkins got back, he accounted for nearly half of the targets. I don't think that's sustainable. I think Zach Ertz is going to get some of those targets, and the Vikings really struggle covering tight ends, so I really like Zach Ertz props today.
All right, keep that in mind. Zach Ertz, again, educate and entertain. Use the information for your own personal bets. If you like that, then play it. It's all about the information, not about just the picks. All right, the Broncos went right down the field. Classic Jacksonville. Can't hold it at the end. The Broncos scored a touchdown, so 1:43 to go. It's 21-17. Denver is on top of Jacksonville. This is just hard to watch. Yes, Larry.
I was saying it's as a Jags backer, it's bad news, but it is a lot of time that they left on the clock. I know it's hard to say don't score, wait till you get, make them use another timeout. 2 timeouts, 1:43 to go. They got a shot.
They've got a shot. Certainly best case scenario. It's better than 120 with no timeouts. So they were going to score. Let them score there. All right. By the way, Ertz is at 38.5 minus 122. Alex, you like that there?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. All right. Next game. And this is one I absolutely love. I think the Raiders are going to roll today. They're laying 1 on the road in the Big Easy to take on the Saints, who absolutely got ran out of the building in Arizona 11 days ago on Thursday night. Total sitting at 48.5. Uncle Dave from our prop shows on Alvin Kamara, over 38.5 receiving yards. And then let me come to you, Sia, first, because you also have a play in this game that kind of lines up with that one.
Yeah, I like Alvin Kamara in this game. I think it's a really good spot. Let's just kind of reset here. Jarvis Landry is out. Michael Thomas is out. I think we're going to see, like, obviously Olave, maybe Callaway is going to get some targets, maybe even Juwan Johnson, assuming he's healthy. But I think we're going to see Andy Dalton lean on Alvin Kamara even more. I think we're going to see a lot more checkdowns. First of all, he's been checking down to him anyway, and they've been designing some passes for him. But with all the mistakes Andy Dalton made last week, I see him taking a more conservative approach, at least on a couple of plays, and just instead of opting to, go into the end zone into double coverage or into good coverage, dumping it down to a very reliable, likely open target. His over is 4.5 receptions. It's -130. Right now, it might be -135. I actually still like it there. I don't think I'd go any deeper than that as far as the juice is concerned. His targets over the last 3 games with Dalton, 9, 9, 6. His catches in those efforts, 7, 6, 6. Alvin Kamara is the key to this offense, and I think it's going to go through him.
Oh, geez. Pick interception by Denver right after they show a stat that says Jacksonville 0-8 in one-score games, 0-5 this season. They're 0-8 in their last 8, and it looks like, oh, my God.
Trevor Gabbert.
Trevor Gabbert in a nutshell. All right, Alex, let me come to you because there's a player that for the Raiders has been, despite the record, really, really good, but today – you are fading him. Explain why.
Yeah, this is a contrarian selection here. I understand if you don't want to tail this one, but I'm going to explain why I'm taking Josh Jacobs under 109.5 combined rushing and receiving yards. Listen, this guy's been absolutely phenomenal over the last 3 weeks. No argument there. He's delivered 3 massive games, over 142 rushing yards in all 3 games. However, his workload's been especially excellent these last 3 games. It's important to realize, though, he's running really hot inefficiency over these last 3 games. I think there's a really good chance he comes back down to earth against the Saints today. That's not to say, again, he hasn't been good. He's been very good, but if you look at some of the advanced metrics, they're not that great. If you look at his breakaway percentage, his yards per route run, he's overperforming, in my opinion. Furthermore, the Saints defense has kind of been the inverse of that. They've not been good on paper, but they actually are better than they appear. The Saints defense is 7th in EPA per rush, 7th in rush success percentage, 8th in run grade. So you kind of have a tale of opposite things. You have you have Josh Jacobs running super hot, and you have the Saints defense, particularly their run defense, giving up a lot of production, but they've actually played better than the statistics appear. This number is inflated. This is a really big number. I try to catch these when a guy is at peak, and I think he's due for a potential regression, which I think is the case here. I understand not wanting to take this play, but to me, again, he's overperforming, and I think this is just a really good spot to fade Josh Jacobs under 109.5 combined rushing and receiving yards. The reason I like this combination line is because the Saints are exceptional at defending running backs out of the backfield when it comes to receiving. They give up the second fewest yards, which is why I like the combination prop the most. I'd lay off just a straight rushing, and I think the receiving line's low. That's why I like the combo here.
All right, very, very good. So we're on a fade from the Raiders. We are on a couple of Saints props, but we think the Raiders are going to win. So keep that in mind. Corey says best sports show. Corey, we agree. We love doing this multiple times a day. We'll be back tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, counting down to Sunday Night Football. The first time ever that Aaron Rodgers has been a double-digit underdog in his career tonight in Buffalo. All right, next game, and this is very, very, very important for a lot of reasons. Patriots laying 3 now on the road in New York. The Jets are playing now without Hall, their dynamic young running back. He's out with a torn ACL. The total very low at 40 as a brand. Here's where we stand. RJ White had them in a teaser. You got to watch our Tuesday show, at least closer to Tuesday, because a lot of these numbers, they sail away. We call it the most important hour. Maestro, RJ, and of course, M squared. So we're on the Bucks plus 7.5. So, of course, this is dead, but he was on the Jets plus 7.5 as well. Then AB is on Nick Folk over 1.5 field goals in this game at -120. So, see, let me start with you. The Jets are a team that are much like, I guess I don't have a good – we don't know if they are for real. And I think today at home in a divisional game against a team that historically has dominated them, maybe this is a way to show the entire NFL fan base they are for real.
It is, and I think the Jets are a good team. I don't want to be sort of like hyperbolic and say a team is really great or they're really terrible. I think the Jets are a good team. The problem is they don't have Breece Hall, and that is going to mean Zach Wilson's going to have to step up a little bit. And I don't know that this is the right spot for him, especially with the Patriots coming off an embarrassing loss to Justin Fields and company. I like I had 3 plays I liked coming into the week. Actually, it was Patriots -2.5. I liked the Niners -1.5. That's down to basically pick them out. And I like the Bills giving up the number. That was just sort of the 3 games that I had my eye on. But I like this Patriots one the best. I think they're catching the Jets in a good spot without Breece Hall to lean on. They've got an injury at the receiver position. I just don't think they have enough weapons on offense. And I think the Patriots will be able to manufacture enough with their running game, with Mac Jones and some emerging receivers as well. So give me the Patriots -2.5. I like it at 3. Obviously, I like 2.5 a lot better.
Okay, very good. Maestro, when you look at what we saw from the Patriots last week, and they start Mac Jones, he's not good, rusty. Then they bring in the backup, scores 2 quick ones, and then they do nothing the rest of the game. Who is the real Patriots in your mind?
Well, they're not very explosive offensively, and I wouldn't lay a full 3. I played them on the money line when it was less than 3. Just without Breece Hall, without Corey Davis, with Belichick's history against Zach Wilson, Belichick's history also when facing teams after losing a game that he should have covered by 21 points. He lost against the spread, in blowout fashion. He's something like 15-2 against the number. Just a much better spot for the Patriots. The Jets have been real fortunate facing backup quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks. So I will play the Patriots on the money line.
Okay, very, very good. I believe the Broncos got the first down, so the game is going to be over. 21-17, the Broncos get it done. Russell Wilson doing what he has historically done very well, and that is fourth quarter comebacks. So the Broncos will improve to 3-5, and the Jags will fall to 3-5. All right, final 1 o'clock game today, the Battle of Pennsylvania. The Steelers go on the road in Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Eagles laying 11. Big number here, total 42.5. The Steelers are another team, guys, that have been trying to find an identity and trying to move through the growing pains of Kenny Pickett, a rookie at the quarterback position. Here's where we stand as a brand. AB, he's all over the Eagles' first half team total over 13.5. Then Uncle Dave is on Chase Claypool over 39.5 receiving yards. He was very vocal about wanting more targets heading into this week. Then Alex, you love a play on the Eagles side of things today. Who do you like?
Yeah, I love the true alpha number 1 wide receiver, the man known as A.J. Brown, taking him over 68.5 receiving yards. Listen, A.J. Brown, he's been phenomenal his whole career, but particularly since joining the Eagles. He's averaging 83 receiving yards per game. He hasn't, and he's doing that despite not eclipsing double-digit targets in 3 straight weeks. I feel there's a very good chance that could change this week, or excuse me, today against the Steelers. The Steelers defense, they are really poor against the pass. They're also really struggle at getting pressure on the quarterback. Pittsburgh ranks 26 in quick pressure rate. This is important to note because the Eagles defense, their biggest weakness has been allowing pressure to Jalen Hurts and him struggling as a result. They activated TJ Watt, who is not going to play today. He was activated off the PUP list, but he's going to be inactive today. Pittsburgh has struggled so much applying any pressure without TJ Watt in the lineup. When Jalen Hurts has time, this Eagles team, first and foremost, they want to attack down the field. Best way to do that is with A.J. Brown. You allow time for those routes to develop. So this is just a great spot. Brown has just been absolutely phenomenal. As I mentioned, 2.86 yards per route run. Among wide receivers that have run 100-plus routes, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, and Stephon Diggs are the only 3 guys that have been more efficient. Also, the Steelers, they surrender more yards to opposing wide receivers than any team in the NFL. With them not being able to get after Jalen Hurts, giving him enough time in the pocket to allow A.J. Brown to get open down the field, I really believe this is going to result in a ton of big plays. This looks like one of those potential spike games that I always talk about. I love A.J. Brown, over 68.5 receiving yards. I also really like Jalen Hurts in this matchup as well. I like his passing yards.
Okay, so you like his passing yards. So Chill Will, that answers your question in the chat. Over 228, Alex likes that. Then Sia, let me come to you. His rushing number is 46.5, and he's been using his legs a lot too. Do you like the rushing? Alex likes the receiver or the passing, excuse me.
Probably not. I mean, yes, he can absolutely get there. I just wonder how much the Steelers are going to push him in the third and fourth quarter. We know that the Eagles are very good in the second half, or first half, particularly in the second quarter. But, again, if this becomes a blowout, how much is Jalen Hurts actually keeping the ball on scrambles or on, read pass options, things of that nature? So I'd probably stay away. Certainly could get there. I'd prefer the passing yardage prop.
Okay. Casey in the chat said, just got out of church. Let's go. Boy, we need some prayers. The weekend that this sports betting world has had, we need some prayers. All right, real quick. Hill, longest reception over 26.5 yards. Do we like that one too? That's from Jeffrey in the chat. Do we like that one? I would say yes. I would say yes.
I like it.
I think he's talking about Tyreek Hill.
Lions give up second most explosive pass plays.
There you go. All right, so those are the 1 o'clock games as we cross the bottom of the hour. For those of you just dropping in, this is Early Edge Live. We do it every single Sunday at noon and at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Now, there are 4 games, but before we get to those at 4 o'clock, we got to pay those pesky little bills. Here's a word from one of our incredible partners. And we are back. Those watching on YouTube, those listening on Apple, on Spotify, we want all of you here. Every single show, turn on those notifications so you know every single time a show starts. Now, Titans and the Texans. This one is one of those, I just don't understand the number. -1, total sitting at 39.5. AP is on the Titans' second half team total over 9.5, -115. They're really strong in the second half. Derrick Henry just wears the other defense down. Then Uncle Dave is on Derrick Henry over 11.5 receiving yards. Normally we don't play this particular running back, but he had a great explanation, if you watch our prop show on Friday, for why he believes this will cash today. Maestro, let me come to you. The way the Titans have played the last 2 weeks and the way the Texans have played the last couple of weeks, I just don't understand why this is not 2.5 or 3. Can you help me explain?
Yeah, you got a rookie that most people say is not ready to play, and Malik Willis starting for Tennessee instead of Ryan Tannehill, and you have Jeffrey Simmons. I didn't see his final status. I want to check that now. He's the Titans' most important defensive player. He was questionable. I'm going to check if he's active or not. I still think that Tennessee will be able to run the ball because Houston gives up 5.2 a carry, and Willis is a great runner himself. So the combination of him and Henry, he might not need to throw so much.
Okay, very good. Frank in the chat says, Coach, the early edge picks are turning into all prop bets. I thought the prop shows for props and the regular show for regular picks. Frank, we literally have Panthers, Dolphins, Vikings. What else do you want? Normally on Sundays is when some of the other props come out. So we add them to the picks we've been giving out since Tuesday. And so when we get to today, we put the recap up, but we have tons of sides. That's why if you're a SportsLine member, all the picks are already there under every single game. You want a Vikings pick? Go to the Vikings game. We're in concert with SportsLine. That's what we do. It's not just about this one show. All right.
And
yeah.
sorry to jump in, but Simmons will play. Did not practice all week. This guy is the enforcer right in the middle. He pressures the quarterback. He stops the run. He bats down passes. He is the best defensive player on that team.
And there's issues with the Texans at quarterback. All right. That one, not a lot of interest today, but this next one kind of does. And I don't know why, other than the fact that the Colts and Matt Ryan said he was kind of shocked. He was surprised that he was being benched after last week. So the Commanders coming off a big win over the Packers at home. They're going on the road. Indianapolis favored by 3, total sitting at 40. RJ is on the Commanders plus the 3. Sia, what do you like in this game?
Yeah, I like the Commanders plus 3 as well. I mean, this is one of those situations where I think Sam Ehlinger is a perfectly competent quarterback, but it's his first NFL start. And while a lot of people, and he might do okay. Listen, for like daily fantasy, he's only 4,000. Go ahead and play him if you want. But in terms of actually winning a game against a Washington defense that's bad on the back end, but really good on the front end in terms of rushing the passer, this is one of those situations where we look at his preseason experience and we say, okay, well, Sam Ehlinger is a pretty good quarterback. I've watched him in the preseason. He's really competent. Well, my parents took me on Space Mountain at Disney World. They didn't call me an astronaut the next day. The preseason is a completely different animal than the regular season. And I think Washington's going to be able to mix it up and going to be able to get to Sam Ehlinger and potentially turn him over. I think their offense on the Washington side is just competent enough to win this game and cover this spread. I actually think Washington's going to win.
I do too. Taylor Heineke is just different. What are you laughing at, Alex?
I just think Sia is hilarious.
Sia, did you or did you not have a prop in this game too? Was I correct in that? Brian?
I do. Oh, good point. Good point. Yeah, that's a prop I actually put out yesterday. An extra clip that we put out on SportsLine and on the early edge. It's Brian Robinson under 58.5 rushing yards. This is one of those things where I'm playing the efficiency. I got to admit, I do think Brian Robinson is going to get the volume. He has been getting the volume, but in terms of rushing attempts, but he's only been getting about 60% of the running back touches. And I do think Antonio Gibson is a lot more dynamic. I think he's going to eat into Brian Robinson's share just enough to get Brian Robinson under this 58.5 rushing yards total. The fact is, Brian Robinson, since coming back, and it's been an amazing story, he's only averaging 3.4 yards per carry. On the other side of it, we have Antonio Gibson averaging 7 and 5.9 over the last 2 games. But I think the biggest part here is the Indianapolis rush defense is pretty good. They're allowing only 4.1 yards per carry, which is good for top 10 in the league. So this is one of those situations where even though I think Brian Robinson's going to get a fair amount of carries, I think he's going to fall just short of this 58.5 rushing yard total.
I do too. Maestro, let me come to you because there are a lot. And then Alex, you know what? Let me come down. Alex, what do you got?
Yeah, just real quickly, I have some great news for our listeners that have a DraftKings account. If you recall, if you watched the Friday prop show, I gave out Devin Singletary over 55.5 rushing yards. We'll talk about this prop a lot as it pertains to Sunday Night Football. I still love this play. However, correlated to Sia's play, fading Brian Robinson under 55.5 yards, this is something I personally played. I can't give this out because it's only on DraftKings. If you go to the rushing, receiving props under that category, if you select head-to-head, you can find Devin Singletary against Brian Robinson, both their rushing lines. And I love Devin Singletary in that matchup against Brian Robinson. As Sia mentioned, he laid out perfectly. He's fading him. I'm on Singletary's over. They have the same exact yardage line at 55.5. So you can select Singletary to have more rushing yards than Brian Robinson on DraftKings. I think it's a great bet.
That is a great way to go about it, but you really got to dig. See you go.
I'm sorry, real quick. So when that clip was posted, it was 58.5 at a lot of shops. It was 57.5 in a couple. Since that clip was aired, and I'm not necessarily taking credit or saying SportsLine is getting credit, but I kind of am. It went down to 55.5. The reason I know that is because we had a listener who watched that clip and asked, is 55.5 a good number to still take the under? My answer to that was no. I thought we lost 3 yards of value. That was just enough for me to say there's no edge there. But that's maybe turn the alerts on SportsLine on Twitter, so you see those clips, and obviously on YouTube as well, so you see these shows and you don't have to ask about sides or props on Sunday because you know we're giving them out on Tuesday or Friday or every other day of the week, literally.
Educate and entertain.
Bang.
Educate and entertain.
Bang.
That's what we do at SportsLine.
Bang. All right, all the bots are back. That means it's a normal day for us here at the show. All right, we've got 2 more games at 4 o'clock to get to. 49ers, pick them now. No Debo. He's out. Christian McCaffrey, welcome to the show. Rams, total 42. AB is on the classic Matthew Stafford over half an interception at minus 140. But that's all we are on as a brand. So, Alex, start with you. What do you like?
The Rams are getting a welcome addition back to their offense. Van Jefferson, formerly known as the Van Jefferson Award. He was returning to this Rams offense. The reason I think this is so significant is because this Rams offense has really struggled over the first half of the season. They just do not have any real speed on offense. Anybody who's able to threaten the opposing defense, take the lid off the defense, push the safeties back, I think Van Jefferson is going to make a huge impact. It may not show up necessarily on the stat sheet, but just having a guy who can potentially beat the defense long is going to open things up for Cooper Kupp, open things up for Tyler Higbee, open things up for that run game. So I'm very interested to see if he's going to basically leapfrog over Allen Robinson, who has been completely ineffective, who the Rams were hoping would kind of take that number 2 receiving role. Van Jefferson will be back making his season debut today. I think he's going to really do wonders for this Rams offense and help open things up. That being said, their offensive line has been disastrous. They will need to improve in that department, but I do think Jefferson's impact will be felt across the field.
Maestro, because Frank thinks we don't give out enough sides on this particular show. From a side perspective, yes, the Rams are getting Van Jefferson back, but neither team, neither offense has been an offense that we can lean on. In fact, the 49ers just got blown out of the building by the Chiefs. From a side perspective, where would you lean?
All the trends say the 49ers because of how they've dominated this particular matchup. But coming off the bye, the health, you're talking about Dre Greenlaw's out. He's a big linebacker for the 49ers. We know Mosley's out for a while. So, and Debo is out. I mean, there's no bigger piece to that 49ers offense than Debo Samuel. So if you force me right now, I'd play the Rams, and I agree with the line move back, making the Rams either pick or slight favorites after they were underdogs.
See, your thoughts real quick on this game?
Yeah, I'm on the 49ers. I got to admit, when I gave that, well, I didn't really necessarily give it out as an official play, but I like them at -1.5. I wasn't sure if Debo was going to play, admittedly. With him not playing, it certainly makes them less dynamic, but it is easy to just be like, well, no Debo, now we have Christian McCaffrey. I mean, that's a nice trade-off. The reality is, I just don't think Rams are coming off a bye. That's great, but McVay has been absolutely owned by Kyle Shanahan. I don't necessarily want to get into that trend, but what I see from the Rams, it's just not good enough. Their offensive line isn't good. They're not really superimposing on defense, especially against what I think is going to be a dynamic offense in the San Francisco 49ers. So just based on what I've seen, bye week or not, I think the Niners in what both teams are going to think is a must win. I think the Niners are the better team, so I think they're going to win this game.
All right, fair enough. I like that analysis. Alex, quickly go.
Real quickly, yeah. Last season, the Rams, PFF, Pro Football Focus, had them graded as the #1 pass blocking line in the NFL. This season, they're 32nd.
Let that marinate for a second. Let that marinate for a second. Are you digging deep? That's why we all come together. That's why we're all a team. That's why we're all a crew. And the entire crew will comment on our final 425 game. And guys, 8 weeks ago, if I would have said to you right here on the early edge that the potential game of the week, you'd be hanging on every word. Coach, what are you getting ready to say? The Giants and the Seahawks? Oh, yes. Potentially a battle between two first-place teams. By the end of the day, if the Eagles lose, the Giants are 6-1. May not happen, but I'm just saying, set the table. Set the table. Now, who wants to eat? As a brand, here's where we stand. Uncle Dave is on Wan'Dale Robinson, over 42.5 receiving yards. R.J. White, also on Wan'Dale Robinson, over 4.5 catches, -113. Now, Alex, back that play up by R.J.
Coach, you know what the difference between me and RJ White is?
What's that?
And all due respect to my boss, love you, RJ. I gave this prop out on Friday when it was +125, RJ. Now it's -113. What do you have to say about that, RJ White? But yeah, going Wan'Dale Robinson. Love to see RJ on this. All kidding aside, over 4.5 receptions. If you watched our Friday prop show, you got this at +125. Listen, I talked about this guy at length actually last Sunday on this very stream, how he was someone I was going to be paying very close attention to. Not only does he appear to be the Giants' best wide receiver, but he's soaking up those very valuable slot snaps, and that is where Danny Dimes likes to deliver the football. He likes to target his slot receivers. Finished last week with 8 targets, 6 receptions. I was very encouraged. He had a 78% route rate against the Jaguars. In his season debut, he was only 34%. So his role is growing and growing and growing. He's completely displaced Richie James, who dropped to just a 16% route rate in week 7. Robinson, Wan'Dale, looks to be the clear focal point of this Giants passing offense. He has an elite 27% target rate. He has a first read target on an elite 23% of his routes, which is excellent. He has a very shallow ADOT, 4.6 yards. The reason that's good, the reason that I'm attacking this from a volume standpoint is because we know the closer we throw the football to the line of scrimmage, the higher success you have for completing that pass. So it doesn't matter if he only gets us 25, 30 yards. I think he'll do more. But when you have a receptions prop, the yards don't matter. So that's why I love attacking this from a volume standpoint. So yeah, it's also a great matchup against the Seahawks. The pass defense, the 25th in EPA per dropback, 27th in coverage grade, and they don't pressure the QB. So this is a great spot to back Wan'Dale Robinson. I absolutely love him. And I also love the man, the myth, Saquon Barkley today as well. Just wanted to mention him as well. If you read my article, you will find a Saquon prop that I love today equally.
Yeah, and if you're a SportsLine member, you get that article on Friday. You all are clamoring for it. The minute that it comes out, turn on your notifications at SportsLine, then and you know how fast the lines move. Now let's come to you, Maestro, and then see, I'm coming to you from a side standpoint. If Daniel Jones is not being pressured, he's become a very viable quarterback. And I think that's a very important little nugget that Alex just gave us. Do you like the Giants because of that today, perhaps?
Well, he's missing two key parts of his offense in Neal and Bellinger, who is a kind of a safety valve for him. But on the other side, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett expected to play, but we thought DK, that was going to be a multiple week injury. So I'm not sure he's, 100%. And if he's not 100%, if he's not who DK Metcalf is, that does affect Geno Smith. And you look at Wink Martindale, we know he's going to blitz. He blitzes half the time. It's the number one blitz rate in the NFL. Geno Smith has been great, but he's 22nd or 23rd against the blitz. That's when he has not been the MVP like Geno Smith that we've seen much of this season. Both teams are going to run the ball very well. Both teams have struggled to stop the run. I think, big game for Kenneth Walker, big game for Saquon. I'm just taking the points with the Giants because, Dayball and the play calling has been brilliant. And Daniel Jones as a road dog, I think it's something like 15-7 against the number. He can get you through the back door late, even if they don't win.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And see, when you look at really how the Giants have gone about their business this year, they've trailed by at least 10 points 3 times. And they won all 3 of those games. So to Maestro's point, they figure out ways to cover. And if you buy a half a point here and get 3.5, I like that bet.
Yeah, I'm going to be on the other side, though. I just think regression is coming in terms of the late game heroics. I mean, listen, I don't really have a strong opinion either way, so don't mistake my pick for something that I think you should definitely bet on. But I think the Giants are figuring it out because of great coaching. But going into Seattle, Geno's been so efficient. DK is going to be on the field, whether that's as a decoy or something else, I'm not sure. But I expect them to be able to move the ball both in the running and the passing game. And I just don't think the Giants, again, it's all about regression, right? If the Giants are down again, which I sort of expect them to be, are they going to be able to pull off another kind of semi-miracle in the fourth quarter like they've been doing all season? I don't think this is the team that has the makeup to do that every single game. It's not Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. It's not Patrick Mahomes. I think Seattle ends up winning this game at home and covering.
What would you think about I actually didn't even look at the number. Let me look at it real quick. The money line in Seattle, that's one part that we didn't talk about. Money line's -165. Little juicy for 3. So
too much.
I don't think we can do that. Yeah, I think we can do that. What another good show. I'm ready. I'm fired up. I'm ready for a good week 8. Do not get sucked in. Be very careful with your money management. Here are our best bets. As we leave them up on the screen, AB, we're going to go around. We end every single show asking my experts what's the number one most important thing they're looking forward to in today's games. You might be able to use it for your own sports betting knowledge or use it at a later date. But information is power. Knowledge is power in sports betting. So, Maestro, what are you most looking forward to today, sir?
Try not to laugh, but it is PJ Walker for the Panthers. The XFL star. He ran the scout team for the Panthers, and he ran it so well, and he was so detailed in his preparation to be like the opposing quarterback. He wasn't sulking, even though he had to play behind guys like Darnold and Baker Mayfield. And he ran it so well that the other team was saying, hey, stop doing that because it's too hard on us. And they were saying, if this guy gets a shot, he will deliver. I mean, guys were pushing for him. He's got his shot. He's got a great matchup against a battered Falcons secondary. I'm not calling for the outright win, but I do think this is a field goal game, and I've got 2 Panthers props that will go along with that. So it's probably going to be 3-0 or 0-3 for me on that Panthers game.
I prefer 3-0.
Me too.
To be honest with you.
Me too.
All right. See ya. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, by the way, PJ Walker's passing prop, not only is it 183.5, but it's juiced to the over at -140. I think they expect him to chuck it around a little bit today. I know that's not a huge number, but for PJ Walker, I think it kind of is. So there's a lot of games here with huge spreads, like the Eagles, for example, in good teams. I'm not really looking forward to those games because I think those teams are going to cruise, but I am looking forward to that San Francisco LA Rams game. With the Rams coming off of a bye, is this going to be a formidable team? I'm not really sure. I don't think they are, but the NFC West, I think, is a formidable division. And I think this is a game I think the winner of this game ends up winning the NFC West and ends up getting into the playoffs. So I think this is a super important game for those 2 teams in particular. By the way, DFS, because Alex brought up Van Jefferson, he's only 3,000. If you want to take a dart throw, he's only 3,000 on DraftKings. Stone minimum. You can actually pay up for somebody else. Just a thought as we have 10 minutes before the slate locks.
Boom. Alex, what are you looking forward to?
Two matchups in particular in that 1 o'clock slate: Eagles versus the Steelers. The Eagles, they have so much offensive versatility. They can run the football extremely well. They can throw the ball extremely well. That is such a luxury that most teams do not possess. I'm interested to see how they choose to attack this Steelers defense. I think it's going to be through the air, which is why I think A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are set up for really nice days. Plus, I cannot wait to see this Detroit Lions team looking a lot healthier with the return of DeAndre Swift versus a very explosive Dolphins passing attack featuring two of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle should be a ton of fun. This should be a ton of yards, a ton of points. Can't wait to watch it.
And we will be here all day long monitoring our picks, meeting at the pay window, and hopefully having a great, great day at the brand. A gentle reminder that we will all be back tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, counting down to Sunday Night Football, the Packers and the Bills. First time Aaron Rodgers' career has been a double-digit underdog as a starting quarterback. It's crazy where things have come for him and for Tom Brady. But for the here and the now, thank you as always for hanging out with us. Thank you as always for spending your time with us. It does not go unnoticed. We appreciate it. And we really, really are grateful for where this brand has gone to. And with that being said, there's only one thing left to do. And I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these tickets straight to the pay window. For my entire crew, love them all. Maestro, Cena John, Prop Stars, AB on the ones and the twos, and our entire crew working anywhere in the world. We all do it together, and you're a big part of it right here at the Early Edge. Good luck.